Hi everyone, my name is Susan. I'm the middle school youth minister here at St. Brendan, and I just want to share my testimony with all of you. So I actually was raised Catholic. I grew up in a Catholic household, and we went to Mass every Sunday. We prayed before meals and prayed before bed. However, my family's number one priority, or what my number one priority was as a child, was sports. It took up all of my time. It was how I defined myself. From the time that I was about 6 to the time I was 16, I spent my time in swim practice. I swam sometimes twice a day, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But if you walked up to me and asked me, who am I? Susan, who are you? Describe yourself. I would always say I'm a swimmer. That's who I am. That's what I do. By the time I was in 7th grade, we started to notice that there was something wrong with the way that I swam. And it turns out that I had to attend physical therapy because I had underdeveloped muscle in my shoulder. But what this means is I missed close to a year of swim practice. I even aged out of an age group, which meant all the times I was getting before that injury, everything, it was gone. All the progress I had made. And I had to really realize that who am I if I'm not a swimmer anymore? So I spent the next 3 years from the time that I was about 14 until 16, so 14, 15, 16, trying to define myself as a swimmer. And it was really painful because I was no longer the best at it. I was no longer as good as I was even when I was 12. And so during my sophomore year of high school, I was invited to attend a retreat. In this retreat, it was kind of a requirement, kind of not a requirement, but I mostly went because a friend invited me. And on this retreat, I noticed one really huge thing. These adults and these other high schoolers my age speak about Jesus as if he's their friend, like they know him. Like he's not just the subject in school or we talk about him at Mass. They actually know him. They have a relationship with him. It was something I had never experienced or encountered before. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is this? How do they know Jesus that well? And so I spent the time on retreat, and that Saturday night, we went into Eucharistic adoration, where you take that moment from the Mass where the priest lifts up the bread, and it becomes Jesus' body, and you just pause that moment of spending quality time with Jesus. And we had gone to Eucharistic adoration before. I had experienced it before, but I had never really known that it was Jesus. I had never really understood. And all I can explain it as is I walked out of adoration that day and my life was changed because I knew that that was Jesus. He was real. People talked about him like they had a relationship with him. And I had just encountered him in the Eucharist. And so from there, my life totally changed. I finished out the swim season and I decided I wanted to start going to youth group. So I started attending the high school youth group that was near my house. And it came down to a decision when the next swim team season rolled around. It was, if I go to swim practice, I cannot go to youth group. Swim practice consumes all of my time. It is at the same time as youth group is once a week. I would rather be at youth group, having a relationship with Jesus, than I would be at swim practice. If swimming was flexible, I absolutely would have just taken 1 week off a night. But the thing about swimming at the time was it wasn't flexible. It didn't make excuses. I had to choose. Swimming made me choose whether I was going to be a swimmer or a daughter of God. And I decided I wanted to be a daughter of God, that those things shouldn't have to be opposed, but they really were at the time. And so I made this decision. I want to keep knowing who Jesus is. I want to keep discovering whose I am, because whose I am is really who I am. If I decide to live like a daughter of God every day, that's who I am. It's not about what I do. It's about who I am, how God has made me. So I just want to encourage all of you, if you've never thought about who you are as more than what you do, please begin to. Jesus sees you as his beloved son or beloved daughter. Don't ever forget that. You are more than what you do.